What's up, herbivores? It is I again, Simbake Akamaru, your instructor for how to be a vegan. We're going to talk about some vegan myths in this next lesson. Some of these maybe you have heard, some of these you maybe have not heard, but you're going to hear them now. Some might sound silly, some might sound, but we're going to cover them all. Hope you get excited, and let's dive on in. When you hear myths and things that are untrue, biases and stereotypes, if you want to call them that, which I mean, they can be. It prevents people from engaging and it prevents people from continuing to learn about a specific population. So if you have negative biases about people who are vegans, maybe then you can't hear their voices. And so you don't really understand what they're trying to get at, right? Because it's for a lot of things, but it's also for the environment. We all live on the same planet. And so, if all of our actions are impactful and some people are trying to decrease the impact, right? But you can't hear their voices, it's not going to have long term positive effects for really anybody, And so, that's why it's really good to be able to know these myths and know the truth around these myths. So that if you hear, call it ignorance, or you just hear misstatements around these, it's good for you to be able to clarify, not preach, but just clarify if you feel like it, because every time you don't need to clarify. You don't need to talk to people and try to educate or change your minds about things. But it's good to have this in your back pocket. Keep some of these myths in your back pocket so it's not you don't get caught off guard and it's the first time you hear about them. All right. So number one, obviously, I'm sure I don't know how long you've been vegan or maybe you're thinking about it, but like vegans don't get enough protein. Where do you get your protein? Those type of questions. It's like the number one thing, right? People don't believe that vegans get enough protein. They think that we're all skinny, emaciated, walk around, hippies and those type of things. I do have hippie like tendencies, of course, but so I do fall in some of the stereotypes, but I get plenty of protein. Okay, I get plenty of protein, and so will you. Later in module 3, we're going to cover nutrition, and I'll make sure that you're just fine. All right. So, yeah, this is simply false. While meat and things like eggs and milk are major sources of proteins, they're not the only ones. Many of our beloved vegetables have proteins like spinach. So, here's the thing, folks. I'll tell you this right now. Most food items, except for vegetables, specifically, they have protein, even vegetables, they have protein in them, right? But when people think protein, due to conditioning and many other things, advertising and marketing, you think protein, you think of like fish, beef, pork, eggs, things like that, right? But literally everything has protein in it for the most part. When you go vegan, you just have to figure out how to do different combinations to unlock the right amount of protein. And once you figure out those combinations, ta-da, super simple, right? As you can see here, 1 cup of uncooked spinach is around 7 grams of protein, right? So it's like, come on, you just got to eat a lot of spinach. And when you cook it down, it's not that bad. And I don't know if you've ever seen Popeye. He's swole AF. Come on. And all he eats is spinach. That's a wonderful model. Protein. When people say, how do vegans get protein? A lot of times they're asking a question. And sometimes they're genuinely curious. Sometimes they're not really genuinely curious. They're kind of combative. Either way, there's so many sources. We'll cover that in module 3, as I said. But this is completely a myth. If you can't eat meat, then you can't build muscle to be strong. So this kind of piggybacks off the first one, right? If they don't believe you can get protein, they're not going to believe that you can build muscle. There's plenty of vegan bodybuilders. There's plenty of vegan documentaries out there that have stated that vegans are weak. Again, this comes along with the same mindset of no protein, you can't build muscle. So now you see right here, it says defensive lineman David Carter, 6-time Ironman champion, John Joseph, and the tennis sisters Venus and Serena Williams. They're all vegans, right? Need I say more? Now, obviously they didn't start off vegan, but they are now, and they'll be able to, and they're still able to sustain their performances, right? But these are just negatives. Honestly, they're just stereotypes. You call them myths, but they're really stereotypes, negative stereotypes about vegans and the vegan lifestyle. There's just like, again, because of conditioning and advertising, people think that vegans are like very skinny and frail and weak looking. I'm not sure necessarily where that comes from, but it's perpetuated so hard that people will come up to you with these type of myths. Please, you got to be able to shake them off and understand that these things are completely not true. Number 4, vegan diets are actually not healthy, right? So look at this. If fruits, vegetables, non-GMO products, no MSG, and a lack of meat and dairy somehow unhealthy, then you got me here. However, I highly doubt a diet that comes recommended by oncologists for certain cancer patients is unhealthy, right? Like, now think about this. When you have kids, you tell them to eat their fruits and vegetables, right? Then you become an adult and it becomes okay just to eat fries and burgers and fast food and things that you just feel like eating, right? So I think a lot of times when people say vegan diets are unhealthy because they're full of fruits and vegetables, what? I think it's sometimes it's a little bit of projection, because if vegan diets are healthy, people might have to change their own diets in order to achieve a different level of health, right? And some of it's misinformation because people have heard of people doing extreme diets and bad things happening, nutrient deficiencies. And unfortunately, a lot of the salacious negative things make the news a lot more so than person is still healthy and alive on a vegan diet, right? No one really cares, right? But when something drastic, something negative happens, that's when the media really jumps on the attention. So just understand that no, vegan diets are very healthy, but it is a different type of lifestyle. So you do need to check in with your doctor to see where your levels are, see what needs to be done, see what you do or may need to supplement, and then make those adjustments. Don't go into it blindly. Please make sure you do your research and make sure you're also in contact with a primary care provider, right? But no, it's completely healthy. It's wonderful. Now there are unhealthy ways to do it. Oreos are vegan, so if you just eat Oreos, yes, it is very unhealthy. But overall, I think that when you go vegan, you do find a way to rebalance yourself with nutrition. All right. You will have to supplement holes in your diet with vitamins if you go vegan, which will end up costing you more money. All right. So, what is important is to understand that you don't necessarily need supplements. What you need to know is what you need to supplement. Hopefully that makes sense. If you are low in calcium, then you need to increase the calcium. You can get that through pills, you can get that through powders and potions, and you can also get that through your foods. Right. So the important thing is that you're getting the right amount of vitamins and minerals. And you can get those through increasing certain types of food groups and foods that you need. So you don't necessarily need to take supplements. Some people are talking about B12. We'll talk about that in module 3 in greater detail. But essentially, if you are eating and living a healthy diet, a multivitamin and vitamins and minerals, I mean, those aren't uncommon anyway. So, okay, so now to address the idea of costing you money, you do have to understand that whatever type of healthy lifestyle that you're planning on living is going to cost you a certain level of money, right? If you're eating a fast food diet, being vegan or not vegan, there's going to come with costs later on down the line, whether it's your health or whether it's healthcare costs, right? Or whether it's just like your time and ability to really enjoy friends and family because you might have health concerns. So you're going to pay either way. Now, that being stated, vitamins are not the most expensive thing in the world. Obviously, you can buy $100 vitamins or you can buy $7 vitamins, right? So I don't think it's completely unreasonable to find it within your budget to supplement with that vitamins if necessary. All right. Veganism is an eating disorder, right? So veganism is a lifestyle, right? And so it's not actually have anything to do with food, right? When you go vegan, you stop eating certain foods, but it's not because you don't necessarily find them tasty or want to restrict your eating, right? You go vegan for the reasons of like health or environmental things like that. So it's not an eating disorder. I will say though that statistically, people who do have eating disorders can hide those eating disorders behind restrictive diets. And so what that means is if you have disordered way of eating, going on certain diets or hiding behind them can help mask those disorders. But veganism itself, no, it's not an eating disorder, as you can see. Um, yeah, it's a lifestyle to exclude animal cruelty and exploitation. This includes not eating animal products and byproducts. It's more of a way of living than it is about food. Obviously, here we're talking about nutrition, because you do need to know how to nourish yourself. But veganism in itself has nothing to do with yeah, it's not about eating. It's about excluding from cruelty from animals. Vegan is the eating lifestyle whereby animal products, byproducts, and dairies are removed from the diet and replaced with suitable fruits, vegetables, and fortified non-dairy products. An eating disorder is a mental health-based condition that surfaces in the physical manifestation of control, resulting in incredibly unhealthy treatment of the body. So I'm sure that there are people who are vegan who have eating disorders, and I'm sure that that does exist, but in itself, it's not an eating disorder. What it is, misinformation. Veganism is white. This has been a barrier in my personal life that I have seen people struggle with as I've transitioned to becoming vegan. This is something that they really, I don't know, they really struggle with. It's a very, very tough myth to overcome in society and even socially. Um, but people, they assume that, as you can see here in the slide, it's something that only is for upper middle class white people. um, a lot of that has to do with the branding and the marketing around it, right, and the conditioning. um, but that's not at all what it is. It's actually an incredibly inclusive lifestyle, right? You're eating tofu. That's something from, right? It's an Asian food. And now you're eating a quinoa bowl with tofu. And quinoa comes from South America, right? You're eating like Asian food and South American food on the same plate. And I happen to be African American. So it's like, it's an infusion of so many different global cultures, right? And it's for so many different global and social and healthful reasons that it's not white at all. It's incredibly diverse and it's incredibly multicultural. It's not portrayed that way, obviously, because of marketing and branding and things of that nature, which I feel that it is changing, slowly but surely as things do go through phases. But no, it's not white. And you will hear that, especially if you're a guy out there, people thinking that it's for females and it's for white females. It's like we're not supposed to be part of this. If it's a club, we're not supposed to be part of that club, or it's not for us. And I think we got to shake that mentality. It's 2021 at the time of this video, and veganism is for everybody. And the people that it benefits the most are the people of Black and brown communities. I myself am of that community. Obviously, as you can see from the color of my wonderfully tanned skin, I went out jogging and rode my bike today. So the sun did kiss me. You can see the kisses, right? So it's really for Black and brown communities and communities of color, because it really does impact our health if we can break some of these generational curses. So we got to look past the whole, oh, it's for white ladies thing. And we got to really step into it and start to feel that we can own space in this space, own real estate in this space, and really have our voices be heard so we can let other people know, hey, let's get on board with trying to break some of these generational curses. And so, yeah, total myth. Myth number 8, vegans only eat vegetables and foods that taste horrendous. Now, come on. When you hear somebody say only, it's definitely going to be some far-stretched generalization. No, that is insulting. It's very insulting. And vegans, we eat all type of things, right? Plants and vegetables are not the same thing. Obviously, unless you really dive into nutrition, or when you go vegan, you really start to look at your plate and what food means and where it comes from. That kind of speaks to ignorance. It's like all plants aren't necessarily vegetables. There's a lot of different things that contribute that, right? In module 2, there's a question on the worksheet that says, you're vegan, what do you eat? Just rabbit food, right? That's what people think. And people think vegan food is bland, or people think that vegans don't flavor their food. That's simply not true. We're people who have taste buds. We just don't eat animal products. I don't know if you know this or not, but I think you could pass this information on to people who might hit you with this myth number 8. But most seasonings are plants, right? Barbecue sauce is like ketchup and maple brown sugar and syrup. You know what I mean? It's plants. The things that make meat taste good, you season it with plants. Salt's a mineral, right? Paprika, cayenne, all those are plants, right? The things that make our food taste good are plants. So people think that vegan food is bland or it doesn't taste good. Come on now. You must not have done it properly. And in module number 5 and module number 4, I'm going to show you how to do it properly. So you can make sure that when people taste your food, if you decide to share, which it's your right, that they enjoy it. All right. So, like I stated earlier, we want to talk about debunking myths. Um, Many people have been led away from adopting a vegan lifestyle because of these myths, because of these things that aren't true, because of these barriers and these stereotypes, right? And they get perpetrated over and over and over again. And people, they take it as the truth without digging any further into it. And as a result, we have all these barriers to people actually being able to benefit themselves, the animals, the planet, everything, right? And so, like we said, I laid these things out, and so you all have the opportunity to actually address these when you hear people saying these type of things. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, and until next time, keep grazing.